Hi folks, in this video I'm going to go over some examples of the types of questions you're going to have on the test in Chapter 4. So first question is write a pseudocode algorithm that will calculate the sum of all integers between 1 and an input value. Remember, these are just examples. These are not the questions you will be getting. The sum should include 1 and the input value. In other words, it should be inclusive. You always have to watch for this in questions where you're supposed to do a range of numbers. Do you include the beginning and end of the range, in which case it's inclusive, or do you not include the beginning and end, in which case it's exclusive? So very simple, right? Here's the pseudocode, something like this: input n, LCV equals 1, sum equals 0. Well, LCV is less than n. That's the number you're counting up to. Sum equals sum plus LCV, or less than or equal to n, right? So that makes sure that I get n inclusive with n. Sum equals sum plus LCV, LCV plus plus, output sum, right? That's all you would need to do. That would be, if you wanted to do a flow chart, that would be great too, but that's all you need to do. Okay, here's another example. This one asking you to write a for loop. Using the method header below, write a method that will return the sum of all integers between 1 and the parameter value. Use a for loop to write the method. Now, it's common on the AP, and I will do this too, to give you the method header that you must use to write your method. So you don't need to write the method header again in your answer, although you certainly can. But what I need is what is the content that would be inside of this method, right? So in this case, we're summing up all the integers between 1 and n. So we always set our sum variable to 0. For int, LCV equals 1, LCV less than or equal to n, our stopping condition, right? That's for loop. It's your initialization, your stop condition, and how you're changing the loop variable every time through the loop. In this case, we're just incrementing by 1, but remember, you could increment it by any amount you want, or decrement it by any amount you want. In this case, sum equals sum plus LCV, right? We're adding up all those values, and then we return sum. Couldn't be simpler. So I may ask you to do a different version using a while loop, because you need to be comfortable with both types of loops. So again, same header as above, exactly the same. Right? So we set LCV equal to 1, and with while loops you have to do the setting of your initialization of your loop variable and the increment of it on separate lines. Again, set sum equal to 0, while LCV is less than or equal to n. Sum equals sum plus LCV, LCV plus plus. Return sum, right? And, okay, write a recursive method that will sum all integer values between and including two passed-in parameters. Use the following method header. Assume that second is larger than first. All right, so this is a method that's going to call itself recursively. This is what you would have to write. Right, so remember, when you're doing a recursive method, always think of what your stopping condition is. In this case, we're going to move value, the first value, we're going to keep incrementing it until it's equal to the second value. Because we have to get all the numbers in between that one and this one. So I say value 1 equals value 2, then I'm going to return value 2. That's the last number in the sequence. Else, I'm going to return value 1 plus the recursive call. So let's say we called this thing with 1 and 2, right? So the first time it's going to come down to this else, because value 1 is not equal to value 2. It's going to return value 1, which is 1, plus whatever it gets back from the recursive call. Well, in the recursive call, it's passing in value plus 1 plus value 2. So value 2 is 2. That 2 goes into there. 2 goes into here. They're equal, right? Value 1 and value 2 are now equal. So it's going to return 2. It returns it back to the previous version of the recursion here, where it now adds it up adds to value 1, that it returns 2, adds the value 1, value which is 1, so the whole thing returns 3, which is the sum of those two, that range of numbers, which is great. Okay, so that's the type of thing you need to be able to figure out for a recursive method. Again, it will be short, right? It won't be long. And then finally, there'll be a challenge question about arrays. This will be an extra credit question. And here, I'll assume that the class is a field containing this array of integers called heights. And then I might ask you to write a method that would do something like this. Right? It will public void taller heights. Write a method that will output all heights that are greater than a passed-in parameter. So we're going to pass in the parameter v, or the value will be stored in v. So we're going to loop. We could use a while loop, but a for loop is fine in this case. For int LCV equals 0, LCV less than heights dot length. This is that accessing of the array class's length field. Remember, arrays are immutable, so in this case we can have direct access to a field because that field cannot be changed. So normally we want to make all fields private, but in this case it doesn't matter because it can't be changed. So heights.length is the number of elements in the array. And then we're going to increment by 1. And here we say if height sub LCV, right, LCV is first 0, so that's the 0 position in the array, is greater than v, then we're going to output what's at height sub LCV, at height sub 0. Then we increment LCV and do it for all the other index positions in the array. Okay, so that's the type of thing you would need to do for the array question. Now again, notice all of these are really short, right? If you're writing a lot, the while loops are going to be a little longer because you have to do these initializations in the separate increment. Writing more than 5, 6, 7 lines, you're writing probably writing too much, right? You're on the wrong track and want to stop and rethink the question. I just wanted to cover one other thing here, just to make sure everybody understands. Inside of a for loop, right? That what's the commands that are in the body of a loop are, I call inside the loop, right? So this is the one line that's inside the loop. That if you have only one thing in the body of a for loop or an if statement, you don't need to use braces. That's why you can get away without using braces here. Here we have 2 lines within the while loop, within the body of the while loop. So whenever you have more than one line, you need to use braces, right? And enclose those lines in the braces. Here in this if statement, we only have one line, so we don't need braces. Also here, we only have one line, so we don't need braces. But if there were 2 things we wanted to do here, then we would need braces. All right? And finally here, right, in this for statement, there's just this one if statement. And within that if statement, there's just this one line, so no braces are required here. If you want to add braces, it's totally fine. They're just not needed. Okay, so I hope that helps. If you do have any more questions about the Chapter 4 test, please let me know. But make sure you've read the chapter carefully and you've watched all the videos that I've produced for the chapter. Okay, thanks.